Alright, we are at the start of the Appalachian Trail. It is noon right now, pretty much on the dot, and we just got done doing the approach trail. Started about 7:45 a.m. this morning, and we are getting a bit of snow, and it's pretty cold. So, still cold. You can see my hair is starting to get a bit frosty, and went to have some water. It's nice and frozen with ice cubes, which would be nice if it was hot out. It's not hot out though, so it kind of isn't the nicest, but we're at water right now. Yeah, just getting some more water. I just was sitting down on a log and waiting for Peppa, and he came up and we started hiking again, and he goes, "I don't want to be the bearer of bad news, but did your rain pants have a hole in them before?" And I was like, "Nope." And yeah, I guess they caught on something when I sat on the log, and I've got a hole right up my butt right now, and there's nothing I can do about it. So be it. So one thing that I did not get to do, which is like a slight bummer, it's not the worst. We had gotten to the start of the approach trail at 7:30 a.m. and the visitor center wasn't open at Immokalee. So I didn't get to get the like little red badge thing that you hang from your pack that says the AT on it and what number hiker you are. So I don't know what number hiker I am, but that's okay. The other bummer of that is that I couldn't fly with my fuel. So I had planned on getting fuel from there because I just assumed they'd sell it. But it was so cold this morning, it just wasn't worth sitting there for however long to wait for them to open. So we just took off, and that's fine. Neels Gap is going to be coming up tomorrow or the next day, probably the day after. I can get fuel there, and yeah. Do I want to visit a shed and cemetery? So it is. Ooh. Did that help? So it is now 3:30, and I'm half a mile from the Hawk Mountain tent pads campsite, which is where me and Peppa were gonna plan on spending the night tonight. But I actually just bumped into Tom Joyner, who is one of the trail maintainers, and we were talking for a bit, and he told me that another like 0.7 past the Hawk Mountain campsite is the Hawk Mountain shelter, and he said there's still a few spots left in the shelter and that they have a fire going, and I know that we were going to sleep at the campsites, but I'm kind of gonna, I think, wait for Peppa and see what he wants to do, because I'm cold and the idea of a fire is very nice. So I might just try to push to the shelter, especially since there's room, and enjoy a fire tonight. All right, we're going to my very first shelter.
It is 7 a.m. and I wanted to start hiking at 6:30, but it is so cold. So I've just been sitting here feeling sorry for myself. But the sun's coming up, so that means I need to go. And yeah, there's frost all over my tent. It'll be fun to dry out. And obviously I did not sleep in the shelter, so my first shelter experience turned into my first full shelter experience. And that's okay. Alright, so we're moving. It is so cold. Having a moving breakfast because I was too cold to not start walking, and these are frozen. So I'm eating frozen muffins for breakfast, and I'm freezing. Is basically what it comes down to. It is now so cold that I've put my buff around my nose because my nose is really cold. So it's helping. And I haven't stopped walking yet this morning because it's too cold to stop. So just looking like an idiot today. Alright, just had the strangest moment so far. Turned a corner and heard a rustling coming down one of the hills. And I looked up and it looked like at first 4 or 5 hunters coming down the hill. But they were holding assault rifles. So I was like, okay, that's confusing. And then I realized that it wasn't hunting camo, it was military camo. And I remember that there was a military school that we drove past coming to the trailhead. And then all of a sudden there was 40 of them. And they're all just coming over this hill. And I'm just standing there okay, I don't know what to do. So I started hiking, just because they started walking along the trail. And they all had these huge packs on, and I ended up having to pass every single one of them. So one by one, I was just like, oh, excuse me, sorry, hey, sorry. But yeah, just really weird. And they kept stopping at different parts and taking a knee, and it was they were looking for something, but they weren't. I think they were just training. But yeah, that was did not expect that. That was interesting. All right, I'm at Neels Gap right now. And for how crowded everyone's been telling me the trail is, apart from the literally army of people that surrounded me, I've only seen 2 other thru hikers today. I haven't passed anyone yet. So I saw Peppa a bit ago, and I think he was having second thoughts on if he wanted to go into Neels Gap tonight. But because you can't camp on Blood Mountain or like within a certain mile range without a bear canister, we either have to do like a short day or a Neels Gap day because we can't camp in between. And he said it was cool if I went on, but I also just passed a day hiker who told me that the wind chill tonight is supposed to go below 0. So that just really makes me want to get to Neels Gap. Haven't decided yet though. So apparently all the way out there you can see Atlanta. That's what I'm told. I don't see it though.
Flyer, and then you got some pretty steep terrain. It's icy though. It gets real icy.
Yeah, I was really bad at skiing when I went there.
It's easy to feel bad. It's not you. It's the terrain.
Planned on having lunch when I got to Woody Gap, and I got there and started to see a tent. I was like, ooh, trail magic, and met the Yellow Deli Trab. I did not know I'd meet them this early in the trail, but I did. And they had a tent set up with heaters, homemade bread, eggs, fruit, and hot soup. And I ate a full cup. It was delicious, and I am warm and going up another hill. Alright, so we are, well, I'm going over literally Landers Creek right now. Probably shouldn't have multitasked. Okay, yeah, so I'm passing Landers Creek right now, and this is where I think the last campsite is that you can camp at without a bear canister before you get to Neels Gap. And it's about 3:30 and 7 miles to Neels Gap. So I'm gonna do it. It's supposed to be very cold tonight. I already said that, but can't stop thinking about it. And 7 miles isn't bad compared to freezing. Alright, so I'm coming down into Neels Gap right now. I can see mountain crossings up ahead. And I'm gonna go to the hostel and meet Peppa. He's gonna meet me there, so yeah. Just coming down to the road right now. I didn't realize the backside of Blood Mountain was like a jungle gym. That downhill took a lot longer than I thought it would. But wow, it was really pretty at the top. So pretty.